G'day and welcome to BackChat's new podcast, Back Yourself, where we speak to business leaders and decision makers. This week on the show, Jimmy and Ryan from Whipper Snapper, founders and general manager of a whiskey business here in Perth. This started in a garage, grew to one of Australia's leading independent whiskey creators. We talked to them about all the challenges that came with building this business through COVID and the success that has come with being one of the world's best whiskey makers. Hope you enjoy. Okay, back yourself. Got Jimmy and Ryan in from Whipper Snapper Distillery. Excited to have you boys in. You've been working with BackChat for a number of years now. Pretty close to our first sponsors ever, actually. And what a deal made in heaven that was. Free whiskey. Boys, great to have you both here. How you feeling? Good?
Good, yeah, great. Thanks for having us.
No worries. So to get into a little bit, and we've done a few of these, but really the point of this is a bit of a conversation around not only what you're doing at Whipper Snapper together, but, a bit of like how you got there, the journey, the stuff ups, mistakes that I'm sure you've both made. So we'll do a bit of a round table, see how we go. So I know both of you, I don't care who goes first, Jimmy, Ryan. Bit about your background growing up. What's childhood like? And if you can relate that back to what you're doing now, like if you reflect on like has how you've been brought up, does that impact how you are in business now?
Okay, Ryan.
You can go, mate.
Ryan, you're first.
All right, let's go. So I grew up in a small country town down south of Perth, Waroona. So pretty standard upbringing, really. Nothing too crazy, nothing too special. Went to year 11, 12, had to go to the next town along Pinjarra because our school only went to year 10, and then decided wanted to go to university after that. So I was one of the only people out of the school. I think it was only a couple of us that actually wanted to go to university straight out of school. A lot of people doing apprenticeships and becoming mechanics or working at the Alcoa and things like that. So I guess from an early age I decided that the small country life wasn't really for me. I wanted to get out and see more, achieve more, do more. Not to say that that's, not a bad way to live, but it just wasn't for me. So decided to move to Perth, went to university. And those early years, I think, did shape the way I have tackled a lot of problems and a lot of issues I've been facing later on in life. After I finished university, I actually then joined the Army for 18 years, which is, I think I'll get into that later, but again, shaped the way I approach problems and issues.
Yes.
But yeah.
And I want to know more about that. Let Jimmy have a crack. How'd you grow up?
Growing up was great. I grew up in country town as well, in Narrogin, not far from Waroona.
You blokes were mates, were you?
Nah, see, I think growing up for me, I was a lost little kid, and I was for a long time. I think even when I left school, didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't know where to fit in the big world. Eventually, when I grew up in Narrogin, went to ag school, worked on farms, went into construction, mining, bits and pieces, always just floating around, doing things I didn't want to do, but exploring at the same time. And I guess some of those early lessons, I look back in hindsight and think, they were good for me. It shaped who I am today. It certainly built a lot of skill sets that I have that I've brought into business that I didn't realise I had until I got into business. But certainly, growing up in the country was awesome. And it just took me a while to land on my feet and get to where I am today. But it's certainly I had a lot of fun.
So you're effectively COO, if we're going to put a corporate term to it, and head distiller. Is that what you call yourself?
Yeah, chops and changes. Whoever asked me, really. sometimes I could be the CEO, sometimes the COO, sometimes just the master distiller. But yeah, for me, I'm just one of the founders, along with my brother-in-law Alistair. So we're the two founders, and you know, compared to my brother-in-law, the other founder of the business, you know, he's still part-time and so I'm full-time. So I kind of just wear all the hats basically wherever I need to fit in. I would just describe myself as the chief fixer. When shit hits the fan, I'm the one that's fixing it.
Yes.
So that's about it.
So as a kid growing up then and everything you're doing now, like was there any point you go, like, I'm gonna be distilling whiskey when I grow up. I'm going to be running a company. I'm going to found a business.
Not at all. Not at all. I didn't think of that at all growing up. Like all of us, we love having a drink. There was a point when I got a little bit older that I started to realise that if you go to a bar in Perth, there was a bit of a shortage of anything Australian on the back bar, and we back then we started to see a bit of a growth in the craft beer industry, so that started to pick up. And so we started to see local beers, and I started to see, well, why don't we have local whiskies? But that was the extent of it when I was younger. You know, I was still drinking Jackson Coke and Jim Beam and stuff like that. I hated it, but I still drank it because something in me, deep down, maybe my Irish blood came through. But I love whiskey down there somewhere. Yeah. But not at all. I didn't think I was going to be making whiskey. I didn't know what I was doing. And always chopped and changed jobs, but anything I did land on, whether it was in farming or in construction, or where I ended up as a surveyor in the mining industry, I did to the best of my ability and worked really hard at it and achieved a lot in those roles. So I think that was the most important thing for me. It's just whatever you put yourself into, whether you like it or not, just do it well, and keep chasing whatever it is you're chasing. So.
Yeah, that's probably flows across multiple businesses. Ryan, you're the GM at Whipper Snapper. Have you got 20 different roles like?
Well, yeah, it depends on the day, but, and who's in the office or not. But yeah, you know, it's like any small to medium business, right? Everyone wears multiple hats, chips in everywhere, get things done.
So talk about your time in the military, and you say that's probably defined a bit of how you work in the workplace now. Good parts, bad parts, everything in between, I assume?
Yeah, definitely. So, I spent 18 years in the military, 12 of those with the Special Air Service Regiment. So multiple tours overseas and things like that. So a lot of life-defining and changing events that shape the way I see and interpret things. Now, some things good and some things have been hard to deal with and hard to adjust to in now working in business. But, you know, the things that I learnt, good discipline, good punctuality, logistics, managing people, things like that. The people in the army and military do that second nature, and they don't even realise to what level they're achieving that. So when I did get out, those kind of things came with me, and I was able to bring those in and add value to a business with those aspects. Where I lacked, I guess, was any practical, actual experience running a business, which I did complete my MBA through UWA to try and fill that gap. But again, it's theoretical, it's not practical. So. And that's why I was lucky enough to meet Jimmy and Al, who kind of were able to build up my practical skills in that area. But there were definitely some things that I could apply straight from the military, and other things that I would try to apply and realise pretty quick that doesn't fly in the civilian world.
Like what? Can you give me an example?
Well, it's more around my leadership style. I was leading a different group of people in the military, especially in the SAS, a lot of highly motivated, self-sufficient individuals who my role as their leader was essentially to rein them in, make sure they weren't overworking or forcing them to go on leave, and to, these were high achievers and very motivated. which I see a lot of people with those same attributes now outside. But I guess my expectations and everything I sort of took from that into the civilian world. And you know, we have great staff, don't get me wrong, we always have. It's something we've always had really good staff at Whipper Snapper. It's just that the expectations I had trying to bring that from, say, the SAS, a high-performing organisation, to put it on a casual barista who's, you know, studying at university and just working here to make some extra coin. You know, it's not it's not their career, it's not their life's work.
Yeah.
And so I guess I was putting too much expectation on these poor, like, uni students, essentially, who are, you know, working there to make money. So it took me a while to realise my leadership style as well. I couldn't talk to them the same way I would talk to soldiers, you know, things like that. So, and I had a few bad experiences where actually staff probably left because I was probably too harsh on them or too direct. Yeah.
Is that what happened? Somehow, mate.
Yeah. So
You wouldn't have learnt, like, that's a bad circumstance and a mistake, obviously. But
Correct.
Like, you wouldn't know until you know.
No. So, you know, I'd never had a job prior to the military. That was my only my whole working life was in the military. So, yeah, it was a lesson learnt. And it's obviously a mistake on my behalf. But, you know, one thing I did learn in the military as well is how to deal with failure and how to overcome and then continue on. So
And
grow from it, essentially.
Talking about growth, Jimmy, if you're a co-founder, you've been from the get-go. What's it like starting a whiskey distillery? Like, I can't imagine where you are now in East Perth. It looked too similar. Was it? Are we talking like bootlegging out of a garage somewhere? Or?
Look, in the early days, very agricultural, yeah. So, yeah.
We could talk on legalities now. We wasn't selling anything out of the garage.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely evolved.
Like, what did it look like when it started? Like, what's day one?
Day one was me getting the keys to this warehouse in East Perth. It used to be a factory that made confectionery nuts and things. And I was so excited. You know, I was only 24, I think I was, and pretty naive and confident. So I was like, this is awesome. Just left my job in the mining industry after 7 years of doing FIFO. So I'm done with that and so excited. And it was just basically a blank canvas for us. Never made whiskey commercially properly ever. Never run a business ever, but it didn't matter because I was excited and pretty keen to get into it. It was just me. I was the only full-time person at that point, and started demolition. I roped in all my mates to start, cabinet makers, sparkies, builders to start building the cellar door and the cafe as you see it today. The still was, we bought a still from the US, a second-hand one, all the distilling equipment basically. That was coming over, that was arriving soon, so that was exciting. So, yeah, it was, putting all these new skills to play that was the cool part. And the best thing about it was I was away from this health and safety culture that the mining industry have. I was wearing shorts again. I could wear thongs to work, T-shirts. It was brilliant. Definitely had some dodgy things going on in the early days in the business, but yeah, it was just freedom for me in that day one, you know, just freedom to get away and work on something that was going to give back to myself and everyone else that was going to be involved in it as well.
So that's the positive side. What did you stuff up early? Like, what are the biggest mistakes you made early looking back at it now? You may not have known at the time. But
not understanding anything about how to raise money or run a business. They were some of the hard lessons we had to learn. You know, we had a dream to build this, you know, massive operation and export whiskey around the world and all this kind of thing. But that was just very short-sighted of us. You know, our business plan, if you look at that these days, the original one, it'd be laughable. It took us ages to raise money. We didn't raise the money that we needed to. You know, we had the dream, we didn't have the cash. So we were bringing in investors and things like that. So that was one of the hardest things to pick up, and also having to go sell yourself as well. sell this idea. I just wanted to make whiskey and create this awesome lifestyle around it as well. But then to actually have to go to pitch an investment to someone completely foreign to me, that was scary. I was shitting myself every time we did that, but it just had to be done. And I think as soon as we signed the lease on the building that we're in East Perth, it's 5-year lease. You got bills to pay. You got to make it happen. So you just this is what I've got to do. You just got to shut up and put up with what's going to happen, and just remember that you get to make whiskey at the end of the day. There's nothing to complain about.
You would have rolled in some of these investment pitches and just been like, just taste the whiskey. It's good. Just give us money.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I assume, all right, let's just get on the piss. I don't know.
Well, we didn't have whiskey then. So how do you pitch an investor? How we're going to make really good whiskey? Don't have any whiskey just yet.
We need your money.
It's coming. Trust me.
Yeah.
And I know I'm young, and ours pretty young as well. But you just got to believe in us, right? And you have your favourite shirt on, and you're like, oh yeah. And these business cats are just like,
Seen it before.
See you later. Yeah. But that's the cool thing, family and friends, people that are close to us and knew us and knew how passionate we were about the idea and the dream. They're the ones that kind of got behind us, not financially necessarily, but just kept pushing us forward. And we worked it out in the end.
Ryan, what stage did you join proceedings?
Around 2020, 2021, I think, 2021.
And you're rolling around with no whiskey investment, what year? Like when's it start?
Oh, the 2014, 2013.
Okay.
So,
so
we've been up and running then. So.
Yeah, they've been going for about 6 years or so, 5 or 6 years before I came on the scene. So I discharged from the army, and it was kind of floating around again. Didn't really know what I was doing. It was kind of difficult. One day you're in the army and you know exactly who you are. The next day you're out and you're kind of lost. You don't know where to go. So naturally I was drinking a lot, and I was drinking a lot of this whiskey that I didn't realise. Soon I did some research on it and I was like, yeah, it's made here in WA. It's in East Perth. So I looked it up, and then I found Whipper Snapper Distillery, and I just got on their website and emailed the info at Whipper Snapper Distillery saying, hey, I'm a veteran. I've got out. I'm not doing anything. I'd love to learn a bit more about the process. I'll just volunteer my time. And within 20 minutes, I got a phone call from Jimmy saying, yeah, hey, let's organise a meeting. Come on down, and we'll go from there. So, yeah, I went and met him. Started out obviously just volunteering once a fortnight or a couple of days a fortnight, mopping floors, sweeping,
all this rubbish,
which I was happy to do. To be honest, I was just happy to be doing something again. But I was just getting in the way of everyone really in production. So I think the distiller we had at the time then didn't really appreciate me being around, not knowing what I was doing. So eventually got to know Jimmy better, got to know Al well, so eventually Jimmy sort of sat down and said, look, I don't want you to work in production. I actually want you to help me run this company. And I said, you're mad. I don't know anything about running a company. You're crazy. And he said, look, I can teach you, everything about the whiskey industry and all that, but I can't teach you all the skills and experiences you had with your time in the military. And he said, that's what I want. So I was kind of fortunate to meet someone who valued that. Not everyone gets that opportunity. And then the next 5 years sort of been building up and learning. Every day is a school day for me out there, learning something every day. So, that's how I sort of came on the scene.
It's funny, we've spoken about a little bit the similarities between sport and the military and the life and death stuff. No correlation, but the industry and the purpose, there's a lot of discipline stuff. Like there's a lot of parallels, right? Yeah. And then there's the parallel of in 1 minute you're an athlete, and 1 minute you're not. One minute you're a soldier, 1 minute you're not. Yeah. And again, you do a bit of work in that space with other veterans. Just speak a little bit about that. I know we probably skipped ahead a little bit, but I just think it's really interesting, the parallels there and what you're doing in that space.
Sure, yeah. So when I got out, I found it difficult, as a lot of veterans do, transitioning from military life to civilian life. There's identity crisis. There's a lot of you don't understand the value that you can actually offer in civilian world. But the biggest thing that pulled me out of that rut and the low point was having meaningful employment again, having a purpose, having a direction, having a reason to get up out of bed in the morning. So, after experiencing that myself, I decided, I want to help other veterans who are going through the same sort of thing find employment, meaningful employment again, and just explain to them how important it is once you're out to find that direction and focus again. Otherwise, you're just sort of wafting and wandering and get lost. And, education as well is another area that I sort of work in, helping veterans get education through the Wandering Warriors organisation. That, again, doing some extra education, doing my master's in business, whilst it didn't give me any practical knowledge, it gave me some theoretical knowledge, which I use every day now when I'm, looking at profit and loss statements and things like that, which were completely foreign to me prior to leaving the military, but now they're a daily part of my life. But helping veterans get education, get employment, and just transition better.
Jimmy, like to have someone who's like effectively just like emailed the info at, and now he's your GM. Oh, that's like from afar, that seems like a pretty remarkable kind of setup. I don't know, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that email come through, I was like, it's like won the lottery, really.
Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had an understanding of, what these guys are and girls are taught in the military, and how valuable they can be in the civilian world, and how underutilised they are when they leave the military as well. So, I've always been passionate about trying to support veterans as well. I'm not a veteran myself, but always been passionate about that as well. So, and I thought, the skill sets that Ryan had would lend itself perfectly to our operation. And he's a testament to that as well. It certainly has. It's been exceptional for our business. It's allowed myself to kind of step away from a little bit more of the operational side of things and kind of focus on working on the business a little bit more, which is, I think, at that time as well, that was just after COVID, it needed to happen, because I was just getting bogged down in just day-to-day stuff, which just can be detrimental to any small business trying to grow. And if one of the founders is just stuck, I don't know, dealing with HR things, for instance.
Yeah, which is what I do every day now. So, yeah, you're welcome.
So, I'm just trying to think of the journey. You found it in mid-2010s. Do you have moments, Jimmy, where you're like, oh, that was a huge moment for us? Like getting your own space, I assume, is one.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a few of those that you think,
yeah,
well, that was massive for us, meeting that person, that person giving us money, or I don't know, do you have any of those that jumped to your head?
When the first whiskey got released in 2016, that was about time. We were marketing ourselves as a whiskey distillery. We didn't make gin or vodka or beer or anything. We're a whiskey distillery. Come visit us, please. They come and visit. Where's your whiskey? It's not ready just yet, but it's coming. Allow me to show you around.
You've done a remarkable job at running a business without doing anything you said you were doing for 4 years.
That was hard. And, I'm sweating away in the back just making it. Then I'm doing the tours, and then I'm doing the sales, and I was like, oh. So when that whiskey finally came out, that was a big moment in 2016. Then there was another moment. Yeah, a downside of that as well is we just burnt up all that cash by that point, basically run out of money. So we had to go to shareholders, and it wasn't the first time to just go, we need more money, otherwise we're gonna flop them. That was probably our lowest point in around 2016, even though the whiskey was out, awesome. We were getting close to folding, basically.
Yeah. How close? Like weeks, days, months?
Yeah, super scary. For myself and our
family,
our shareholders and family, yeah. So that was a very stressful time to kind of bounce back from that. But I was always determined to just keep going, like take it day by day. You're always going to get these challenges thrown at you. We'd had plenty of them already, regulatory bodies trying to shut you down for certain things, different licenses that we were required. Distilling in Australia is quite a new thing, craft distilling. In Perth, even newer, in an urban setting, we were the first. One of the first urban distilleries in Australia. So
Bit of unknown.
Bit of an unknown. All your regulatory bodies are just down the road. They love popping in for an inspection because they get a freaking coffee out of it. And they just go through everything. And they don't really know what they're looking at or what they're talking about, but they're throwing all these codes at you. And in the back of your mind, you're like, and you're smiling, and you're like, I've got no money to make these changes anyway. So I guess there's a lot of stresses in the background in that point. So that was a low moment, but getting the whiskey out was awesome. And then we got through it, and things started to pick up and more whiskies came out. The brand got more recognised. It was.
What's your leadership style, if you had to define it? Ryan's spoken a little bit about his and actually probably having to redefine it because he was baking people out the door. But what are you in a business setting?
I think I'm a little bit more collaborative style leadership. I think I like to get people involved, and I like to get people to make their own decisions a little bit. I try not to, even as a business owner, not stand over their shoulder too much and dictate. But I'm big on understanding my weaknesses and being open about that as well, letting that ego go and just saying, I don't know what this means or how that works. I'll give it a go. If I can't, I'll definitely bring people in who can understand it and help me out. So, I think I'm pretty, just more of a collaborative style leader. But it's hard, as a business owner, you kind of, you're a leader, you're a manager, you're meant to kind of inspire as well. You're meant to be, when you roll up to work, you're meant to be the most positive person because people will follow that. And if the business owner's happy, and then things are all good, right? And that was probably a big adjustment for me, is not, wearing your heart on your sleeve when you go to work and people seeing that and going, oh, fuck, the boss is a little bit down today. Maybe we've run out of money again. Maybe I should jump ship again. So that was a big adjustment, especially in my post-career, so my previous career. So,
Ryan, we spoke a little bit about motivation and perhaps full-time job and employment with Whipper Snapper helping you overall. But what motivates you? If I asked what motivates you, is it, I don't know, is it money? Is it people? Is it goals? Is it, I don't know.
Yeah, money would be nice, but no.
How do you tick? And especially again, you keep calling it civilian life. Does that change? What motivates you?
I don't think so, to be honest. I think I've realised what motivates me is I want to always keep moving forward and want to achieve something bigger, build something, develop something. I think, in the military I was always part of something bigger and was always had a mission and a goal and was always had a direction and a focus, was always working towards something. So I think that's still what motivates me now on the outside of the military, but in a different format. So, and that's why I love being part of Whipper Snapper, is we're not just sitting stagnant, happy what we've achieved to date and just treading water and, living the good life. We're constantly looking at ways to expand. And if we weren't, that's, I don't know if I would still be around, because that's what motivates me, is taking something from a smaller state and building it into a bigger business or more, more successful, things like that. So, that's why I think myself and Jimmy work well together. We both always sort of got one eye on the future and how we can expand things.
I've asked this a few times to other guests. Maybe you don't, but how do you know what you're doing? How do you know what you're doing every day? Do you ever feel like you don't know what you're doing?
most days, every minute of the day. But
No, it's good to talk about sometimes. I think a lot of people, it's a little bit what you were saying, Ryan, that people see like the business with a smile on his face, it's all going well. But again, not the world's expert, but I feel like maybe it's common thread that people don't really know what they're doing. I just wondered if
I'd say it's very common.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of the, I would say this from my experiences in doing some of the, like the MBA and the Australian Institute of Company Directors course and things like that, where, you know, rubbing shoulders with some, you know, high up CEOs and, you know, people like that. And then when you get to know them, you realise they're just normal people as well, and they have the same issues and same things. They don't know the answers to everything, nor should they. But it's a common factor, I think, in a lot of. It's a misconception that you know, successful people or people in high positions you know exactly what they're doing every day. It's just it's not realistic. You know, and we used to have a thing in the military, especially in the SAS, if you don't know what you're doing, at least look good doing it. So, you know, just pretend you know what you're doing, really, and you
That's good.
Yeah.
Biggest challenges, right? What Jimmy, like what, I don't know, what do you look at? Maybe not right now, but like over the last decade, like what's the biggest challenge for you?
Probably pretending to know what I'm doing.
Yes, it's good.
You just don't let anyone know. Which I think is a good trait to have. Like if you can actually step outside and say, that's fine not to know everything. I'm a bit of a generalist anyway, so never specialise in anything. But yeah, biggest challenges I think I've found, if I look over the last 11 years of the business, would be making sure you find enough time to strike a good balance in lifestyle, personally as well, because that's super important. In the early days, I was hammering tongs 7 days a week, and probably drinking too much as well. So yeah, it was just finding that right balance, because at some point there, you know, things just got too rough mentally as well. So just finding that right balance, that was the biggest challenge. Found some CrossFit, and that's me done now. I'm happy, and and that kind of settled out a good lifestyle balance between work, because it's not everything. It's not your identity.
Yeah.
Like me as a whiskey distiller, it's not my identity really. That's what I do as a career. That's not me though. So business owner, Whipper Snapper, again, it's not my identity. It's not everything. So just finding that balance. So, yeah.
You would have had to make some hard decisions along the way. Like, is there one or some, actually just one, is there a hard decision that you can reflect on that was the hardest, or a really difficult one that you sat on, or maybe made the wrong call? I don't know.
Yeah, that would be during COVID, when everything was the unknown period of COVID, the early days, where cafes will have to shut and venues were shutting and everything was shutting, right? I was getting emails left, right and centre, and phone calls from surgeons, doctors, police, ambulance, mining companies, pharmacists, you name it, asking us to make hand sanitizer, a product that we don't make. We're a whiskey distillery. We can't just whip up hand sanitizer. Which we, in a way, we almost felt obliged to do. I was happy to shut the business for a while and just recoup and just see what was going to happen. But we were kind of obliged and almost forced our hand to kind of make sanitizer, because, you know, there was a desperate cause basically for this product, for the critical emergency services and critical services basically. So that was probably the hard decision to do that. Learn how to make hand sanitizer. Had to Google how to make hand sanitizer, and again, just fake it really. And I felt like a bit of an imposter really, going from a whiskey distiller, something you consume, to a medical grade product, which is pretty scary. And we managed to turn the operation from a 5-day a week, 10-hour day production schedule into a 7-day a week, 20-hour day production schedule in 6 days. Yeah, and we had some help from your mates down at Swanbourne as well, and so people were chipping in, and yeah, it was scary, because it was all on our shoulders really to to help people. So it was a bit scary, you know. So that was probably the hardest thing to do.
And you would have felt, you would have felt, I don't know, not forced to do it, but you would have felt like, well, almost choice is limited a little bit. Like you pushed down that path a bit because of what was going on in the world at the time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just wanted to kick back at home like everyone else, and
that's crazy. I didn't realise any of that.
Yeah, it was one of the most stressful times in business for me personally, especially when you had, we re-employed a lot of our barista staff to run stills, a very dangerous piece of equipment, into a night shift. So I was on constantly, just stressing, making sure, something wasn't going to blow up or, something bad was going to happen. So, and then we had these deadlines for this hand sanitizer that was going out to hospitals to help sick patients and things like that. I never signed up for that. I'm not here to help people. I'm here to get them. Oh, well, I'm here to help people with whiskey in a way.
So, correct. Yeah. But I think as well, what it did do, the guys were able to keep everyone employed, and they re-skilled, retasked, pivoted, whatever you want to call it. But every employee, they kept on the books and kept paying. They kept their business going through that tough period, like 4 months or so, where you didn't make any whiskey. And this is the part that I find incredibly interesting and important, is that 4 months, they didn't make any whiskey. So fast forward 2 years later, we got a 4-month period where there's no whiskey to sell.
You were working at Whipper Snapper.
Yeah. So not only did they, pivot and sacrifice everything to, make this hand sanitizer because it was what the community needed at the time, sacrificed 4 months worth of sales 2 years later. That was an incredibly challenging part of the business was then, because we'd started to build up good sales in a lot of national retailers, through hospitality and everything. And all of a sudden, we got a block of 4 months where there's nothing maturing. So, luckily we knew it was coming and we could plan ahead and we could isolate stock to make sure we're not going to leave any retailer short-handed. But, yeah, it was a lot more to it than just switching and making hand sanitizer. It hurt us 2 years later as well.
And I got to say as well, we didn't set out to do it as a money-making exercise at all. I said, if we're going to do it, it's only going to be sold to critical services that need it, and we're not going to profiteer off it as well. Because we saw on the East Coast, a lot of distilleries were making it and astronomical pricing and special bottles with flavours and all this other stuff in it. And it's like, we're not doing that. It's not part of our brand. We've got a lot of integrity in our brand. So this product's going to be... It's going to be a hospital-grade product. It's going to have MSDS on it, and it's going to be done just to help the community, and that was it. But, we did suffer later on. 2 years later, we had no whiskey. We're like, oh, no.
So Ryan's rolling around trying to do this, and that. He's like, we've got 4 months of no whiskey. Perfect. Yeah, thanks very much. Great job to have. What about you then, Ryan? Sort of asked Jimmy about hard decisions, hard moments. So you weren't there during that 2020, starting 2021. What about for you? Like, what was it? Was it beginning and starting and decisions you made early because you didn't know what you were doing?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, there was a lot, like I discussed, there was a lot of decisions I probably made early on, which I look back on now and go, yeah, maybe that wasn't the right call, or maybe, I should have consulted with Jimmy a bit more on that, or so there was definitely some mistakes I made early on. But, I really try and just use them all as learning and build from them. But it doesn't take away from the fact that you still, made the wrong call or stuffed it up. But I guess one of the hardest things that I've had to do as a general manager and as dealing with HR now, thanks for that. But, so I deal with all the HR is, unfortunately when it's a business, right, it's not like in the military where funding's just given and, it's all about capability. We're a business, so we got to, if we're not bringing in sales, I got to look at the bottom line, got to look at how much staff we have, and you're directly affecting people's lives here because, the last thing you want to do is lay off people because of what's happening or the revenue or whatever. But that's a reality of business, right? We're not a charity. We can't just employ everyone go on, making money. So, yeah, having to let full-time staff go and have that conversation with them and, for valid business reasons, that's tough because I've never done that. And you're really uprooting someone's life, essentially. So that was kind of hard. And, they're breaking down in front of you and there's no one really teaches you, or there's no handbook on how to handle that, I suppose.
So did that affect you, for at least a little bit?
Yeah, for sure, because we're all human beings and we don't want to see other human beings suffer. So, that was disappointing for myself, and but it's totally valid, and that's business, right? You have to make those calls sometimes.
Do you have any sort of gold nuggets, that time serving or time in business, that you like to not necessarily live by, but things that you really resonate with you, like this represents me and it helps me, or would help others listening as well?
Yeah, look, nothing that I would call gold nuggets, probably stuff that you may have already heard, but things that I kind of live by, or like a mantra or a motto that I kind of always remind myself is, the first one is, if something's not hard to get, it's usually not worth having. Right, so I try and apply that to a lot of things in my life. When I did selection and things like that, it's incredibly difficult. It's hard, and it's got a high value at the end. It's worth it. And you studying, whether it's a degree or whatever, it's hard work. The harder it is, the more value it's got in it. So it doesn't apply to everything in life. Like, I've tried to apply it to relationships as well, and that's always backfired on me, hence why I'm single. But yeah.
Hello, ladies. Just let that
know. But because usually they've always been hard and not worth it. But yeah, so
at the time of recording.
But no, that's something I kind of try and remind myself when things are getting hard. I'm like, well, that's for a reason, because it's probably going to be worth it at the end. And if something's easy to get, then it's usually not worth having. But that's one mantra I sort of live by. The other one is a Stoic philosophy. Now, it's probably going to get a little dark here, and I like it. And it's from a Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius, and so it's the saying "memento mori." Now, I probably don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it just means like remember death, or basically remember we're going to die. So, and it's meant to be a positive saying in the sense that, don't forget you will die. So achieve everything you want to achieve now. So that was a major motivator for me to do things that you always kind of say, no, I'll do that later. One day I'll do that, one day. And then all of a sudden you're 30, all of a sudden you're 40, you still haven't done it. So once I started to remind myself of that mantra, that motto, I'm like, you know what, you got to do it today. Like, whether it's starting that business that you've always wanted to do, or doing whatever it is, go on that holiday, or whatever. Yeah, one day you will be dead and you can't do it anymore. So
it sounds brutal, but I can understand the meaning.
Yeah.
I like that. Two ones I hadn't heard. Have you got any, Jimmy?
Oh, nothing wise from me.
No, but it doesn't have to be wise, mate. Like, you think about yourself, and hopefully that's a good thing about doing this podcast is you probably don't get to sit down too often and, I don't know, it sounds silly, but talk about yourself or talk about how you think, or you just don't do it. I don't do it. People listening probably don't do it enough. Can you listening to Ryan, he's absolutely hit it out of the park. But little things like that, I don't know, maybe just that help you operate and how you think and how you do things.
Yeah, I just try not to get too carried away with the forward plan. I think in business, as you're starting a business, I think you just got to remember to be agile, be open to change and change quickly, and allow people's opinions to come into your own headspace as well. I think that's important to listen as well. Be a good listener. People, especially when you start, people will be throwing all kinds of things at you. But don't shut down and ignore it. Just listen. You don't have to give them responses. Just listen. That's kind of helped me a little bit. And I think for business itself, if you are thinking of starting business or in business, it's also important to put yourself out there. That's one of the hardest things I've done as well. I'm generally pretty introverted, and going networking is my worst nightmare, basically. So employ people like Ryan to do it for you.
Love it. Love a good networking.
He loves it. There's some red wine around. He's sorted. It's like, yeah, Ryan, you want to go to this networking? I'm not doing that. But it's so crucial. You know, you have to put yourself out there and talk to people. It's sometimes, as we all know, cliche goes, it is who you know sometimes. And, yeah.
What while we've got you both in the room, and get a bit emotional. No, not emotional, but what have you learnt from Ryan, Jimmy, in a work sense? What's a major takeaway that you can take from him that you think you've been able to adapt in what you're doing, or at least learn?
Yeah, I think things I've learnt from Ryan is he is a very cool, calm operator, and he doesn't have an ego with him as well, which I think is important as well, especially as a manager. If you don't have an ego, it's great. People can approach you, people listen. So he's always like I was just saying, he's a good listener. He'll listen. He's really good at taking on feedback. And that's something I've noticed is like, even if it's critical criticism or if it's positive feedback, he'll take it on. And it's probably some of the army training as well. There's no BackChat. It's just like, righto, righto, yep, cool. Take that on board, and he'll action it straight away. And I think it's an awesome trait to have, and it's a good partnership in business as well. If there's things to discuss, it's just like, yeah, cool, I'll get it sorted. And I love that kind of those attributes that Ryan has. I think, yeah.
Go on, you got to give him a bit of a lick as well.
Just like a pocket pissing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But like, I think it's important, given just hearing a little bit about how you guys came together. Like, what have you been able to learn from Ryan? Jimmy.
From Jimmy, yeah. Right. No, look, like I said, we work really well together. Apart from the entire understanding of the whiskey industry, which Jimmy has educated me and is still educating me every day. I've learned a lot about business, how to run a small business. Jimmy's incredibly smart and wise when it comes to running a business. For a Narrogin kid. So I'm learning stuff about business, every day, and about the industry itself. In terms of leadership and personality-wise, I think I haven't seen, a better leader than Jimmy. In terms of he keeps a good rapport with the staff, so that's something I try and replicate from him. Is how he interacts with the staff and keeps a really good rapport. He will always. The thing with Jimmy is, and this is something the way it works well with us, is because we've had a lot of arguments as well. Don't get me wrong, it hasn't been smooth sailing, but we're able to argue and then sort of move on from it. So I take that from him as well.
That's a good trade in business.
Yeah, I think he's not. Yeah, we both don't have that big ego. We're both able to say, "What did you do this for?" or "What's going on here?" and then have a little bit of an argument about it, and then walk away and go, "Oh yeah, nah, you're right. Sorry, mate." Yeah, so it just works well like that. Yeah, and I think Jimmy said it right. Like, we both don't have that big ego. Don't let it get in the way.
Yeah, that's good. And try not to make these pods too much of a product placement / how good you're going. But Whipper Snapper's had some lofty highs too. We've spoken a fair bit about the negatives and the decisions and the mistakes we made. But I don't know if this is top level. But I remember seeing on socials you two boys in bloody tuxedos over in London, or what are you gallivanting around over there? Is that was that those awards you received over there? That sort of peak areas, or are we going to another level now? A bit of both.
That's one of the highs, yeah.
What was that?
That was the world's best corn whiskey in 2023. The World Whiskey Awards in London.
I feel like that's a big deal.
Yeah, you don't get much bigger than that because we're competing with the rest of the world. And we won that the previous as well with their wheat. And then just recently, and we've won a lot of awards, which is awesome. It just gives us that good feedback and says we're making good booze. But I think by the time this goes to air, maybe we would have won another World Whisky Award. I actually don't know what whiskey it's for yet. They won't tell us, but we have to go to London soon.
Oh, forcing to head over.
Damn.
Yeah.
More networking.
Yeah. I'm not going. Ryan will probably go.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Well, if I have to.
I mean, that's extraordinary.
It's
I
good.
remember talking about it on the podcast, and as we do on BackChat, like pretty much took the piss out of you, saying that, well, no World Whisky Awards before BackChat and Whipper Snapper were working together. Now they are. I look, put two and two together. But, that felt like, and again, that's just our nature, right? But that felt like a big deal watching on. And that was a big deal for you boys? Like,
yeah, huge.
World's
huge
best
deal.
whiskey.
World's best. Like, it doesn't get, like Jimmy said, doesn't get any bigger. And then, the table we were sitting at the awards in London was with, Elijah Craig and big US and distilleries from Scotland and things like that. And there's us little East Perth whippersnapper. And then we go up and get the world's best corn, So it was huge. Yeah.
it's crazy. Boys, we're probably going to put a bit of a bow on it. Keep talking a little bit. But one thing that I'm interested to know, now that you're sort of, into your business journeys and you're a grown man now, and you can start, Jimmy, if you could tell either your younger self or just someone younger listening along, you might have an 18-year-old listening or a 21-year-old, what would you tell them now, knowing what you know right now in business? What advice would you give a younger person, either striving to be where you are now or just in general? Like, what would you tell yourself or someone listening?
I think it's just classic. Just don't give up. It's okay not to have a dream or have a passion or have a direction. It'll come to you, but just keep exploring. Don't get stuck in a rut. Just keep exploring. If you don't like something, whether it's your role or what's happening in your personal life, make a change and just try again. You'll learn from those experiences and eventually you'll get there. And it might be at the age of 20 or 30 or 40, 50, doesn't matter. But just make those changes and see where it leads. Don't be too concerned. Take risks, especially do it. I think do it when you're young too, especially if you're male. We tend to take a lot more risks when we're in the early 20s. It's a good time to start a business because you don't know what's going to happen. You're a bit more naive, so just give it a go because when you get a bit old like us,
More on the line.
a little risk averse really. Hey? So, yeah.
What about you, Ryan? Same question.
Yeah. Look, I think I would tell myself about learning from failure. I think we discussed it a few times, but learning from failure, like don't let it cripple you and bounce back from it and use it as a learning point. But two, don't let failure or the fear of failure prevent you from doing things. I think that's something that stopped me achieving, everything I could when I was in the SAS. I think I still achieved a lot, but I think I could have achieved more if I wasn't worried about the fear, had the fear of failure. So I would avoid doing stuff. So I would say, just get in there, do it. If you fail, you learn from it, keep going. Don't let that fear stop you from trying something.
That's good advice. Last one, a bit more on Whippersnapper, like culture is something that gets spoken about a lot in sport. I hear it all the time. And it's probably something that gets spoken about in business too. I just haven't been in business long enough to probably speak too much about it, but it's certainly something in sport that gets thrown around, I reckon, flippantly. Is that something you guys speak about? If it is, what does it mean to you? If it's not, how would you define, not necessarily what Whippersnapper stands for, but, what's important to you?
The culture we've always kind of wanted to instill is just it's a culture of authenticity, I guess. Whether it's in the whiskey, whether it's in the experiences or whatever offering we have our staff, we just want you to be you. And we want to embrace, I guess, a bit of I wouldn't say we're like a family environment down there, but we want you to grow with us. and we want you to be a part of the brand. So we want your authentic self to come through, because that lends itself to everything we do in the business. So, and having that integrity as well in the business as well. I know that gets used a lot, but it's important when you're trying to sell a product that's quite new to West Australia or in Australia. We're the only whiskey distillery in Perth, so it's quite a. We need to be real. We need to be authentic, because we need to show people what whiskey is and behind the scenes and how it's made, and we need to demonstrate that it's, why our product's different to our competitors over in the US. So we've always embraced people just to be real, and we've always tried to look after people as best we can, and all our staff and our followers and our investors and friends and family and stuff like that. It's just an open book, There's no smoke and mirrors, I guess, with our business. It's just come and see it. It is what it is. It's not pretentious as well. Our brand, I hope, whiskey can be quite pretentious. It can have a bit of a connotation that it's only for older gentlemen that are, wealthy and things like that. And it's not. Whiskey doesn't have to be like that. It can be a young person. It could be female orientated. So, our mantra at Whipper Snapper is whiskey for the people, and that's what we've used for a long time. And on every single bottle of whiskey on the back of the label, it says share in good company. So, and that's what we'd hope you do with our product as well. So, and it share across seasons as well, it says on there, because we're in Australia, we don't have these typical seasons where it's snowing outside and you got your fireplace cranking. It's friggin' hot here. Take a bottle to the beach and share it with your mates, It's a conversation starter, and just enjoy it with good people. So, yeah.
How's he done? Pretty good.
Yeah, look, good. I think the culture thing's difficult. I mean, I've always struggled with that. A lot of companies try and define them and put their values and that on the wall, and what do they really mean, though? I don't know. So the culture is often hard to put into words, but it's what you see in a situational basis. So what you see is how a staff member reacts with a complaint, or how, two staff members who aren't getting along work things out, or how they, if there's some issues or whatever, or how they're just working on a daily basis and interacting with customers, and, that's the culture. So it's often hard to put into words, but I think Jimmy's right. That's kind of what we want to see, and what we are trying to facilitate from the top.
But it is what it is a little bit, right?
Yeah.
The culture is like what it is.
Yeah.
You put whatever you like on the wall, but...
That's right, yeah. So, we don't have that stuff written on the wall or anything. It's just natural. This is what I think is pretty accurate, what it is like, and I think that's just the natural culture that's developed from... it does come from the top, as they always say. So from having people like Jimmy and that, they're, it's naturally creating this, that kind of culture for us, that, collaborative type culture, I guess. Yeah.
It's good. It's great. I think we're done on Back Yourself with Whipper Snapper. Boys, did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Loved it.
That was cool.
Brian,
Good
Jimmy.
questions.
Yeah, good. Thanks for joining us, fellas. And if you're going to London and this hasn't been out, or this has been out, well done, or good luck. And Dan and I and the rest of the invite across to London, wouldn't turn it down. I look good in a tuxedo. Yeah. Thanks very much, boys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Cheers.